Hello and welcome to my now Scottish League One predictions for the upcoming 26-27 season. I figured it would be best, given the fact I'm doing a League One prediction, that I would wear this really clean Queen of the South jersey. I'm a big fan of it. The away jersey from last year, I think it looks superb. So I figured it best to wear this jersey to apologise for what I'm about to do to them. Although I think there's an argument that they kind of did this to themselves. But without spoiling any more, these are my predictions for the upcoming season, so let's get right into it. As before, you can see to what I now realise is the right-hand side of the screen. It's obviously my left, but it's the right-hand side. You can see there that I have got the table, and putting at the bottom of that table in 10th place, I am putting Cove Rangers. I don't think that they are going to have... I think they got really fortunate last season. I think they were really lucky to get the results that they did, and if not for Kelty Hearts being as poor as they were, I think that they 100% should have been relegated. I feel like they were definitely the weakest team in League One last season, which says a lot given the fact that, Kelty, I think it's incredible that Kelty were relegated in spite of the fact that Cove were very poor, I felt, last year. This year doesn't seem to be changing anything. Paul Hartley seems to be a little bit in over his head. He seems to be a little bit, misplaced. I think that they had a very poor League Cup campaign. They did not perform even to their expectations to the level that they should be. It was a very disappointing League Cup group for them. They just don't have enough signings as well. I feel they've made signings, but they've not made any signings that have proven themselves. And I think that they're not at a level. I think they're coming from too low a level to step up to what's required here, in terms of what they've done. So I look at Cove's business and I think they're not in a great position. So for me, Cove finished bottom of the league and they are relegated to League Two next season. Next up, Queen of the South in 9th place. Now, this one may come as a bit of a shock considering the fact that I had them to actually win League One last season. But since then, I think we've seen a lot of things. I think the departure of Peter Murphy, based on what I've seen, it appears to be a good one. I mean, I was at that playoff semi-final where he chose to make no subs throughout the entire 90 minutes, despite the fact that Stennismuir started the game the stronger. But Queen of the South were very clearly they were very much in that contest and very much in with a shout of getting a win there. And there came a point where Stennismuir started to sort of overrun the midfield a little bit, because I'd say the first 10 or so minutes Stennismuir were on top. Queen of the South went at them for the next hour maybe or so, and then they started to get overrun a bit in the midfield. So you're thinking, right, you've got midfielders on the bench, make some subs, make some changes. No, they don't, and they wind up losing the game on penalties rather than winning it in 90 minutes, which they absolutely could have done. I think that the overall Peter Murphy, based on what I've read, like I say, was not the right man to continue to take Queen of the South forward. I think he was a bit in over his head. Nicky Clark, however, if you were gonna, you may as well have just kept Peter Murphy, because that's such a gamble of an appointment, and it's very clearly there must be some kind of financial issues going on at Queen of the South that I think that are just not being reported. And I'm not talking about fans aren't coming through the gates, ticket revenue's down a little bit, and merchandise is whatever down or whatever. I think that there's some very serious financial issues that they're not talking about, because there's been a significant lack of signings. Everyone that's been brought in has been brought in obviously on a free essentially, but there seems to be no intent to try and get any kind of players that are going to push you forward. The Kai Kennedy situation is a mess. There seems to be no direction, and like I say, Nicky Clark, unproven as a manager, such a huge gamble to put a man like him in charge of a team that's languishing at a level that they are not at. Queen of the South are, and I will stand and die on this hill, Queen of the South are a championship level team and should be in the championship, and the fact that they are struggling in League One is very much reminiscent of the Falkirk situation when they were down in League One for as many years as they were. The difference, of course, is that Falkirk are a Premiership team. They deserve to be in the Premiership. But I think that Queen of the South are being mismanaged at the moment from a director's level. There is clearly something going on behind the scenes that we are not seeing, that they are not telling us about. So Queen of the South in 9th place, and I honestly think that they will lose that playoff as well. I don't think they'll even make the final. I think that they'll get relegated before the League Two promotion playoff. In 8th place, and this is perhaps going to come as a shock to some people, but I'm putting Airdrie. I am. I think that this is a bold one, I will admit, but I'm not impressed by Airdrie at all. I think they've had a very, very poor League Cup. They've had a lot of turnover in the off-season, lots of players out, lots of new players in, and a lot of the replacements that have come in don't strike me as players that are going to be able to impact well enough to be able to do enough for Airdrie. I don't think that... I don't see them as a club that's going to succeed this season. I think that there is, because the potential was absolutely there. John Rankin has done a great job with Hamilton Accies, and obviously the situation there was quite messed up. But I think that Airdrie are a team that will be very underwhelming this season. And before people start coming in and abusing me, like the Airdrie fans start coming in and having a go at me for putting them as low as they do, I'd like you to keep in mind that last season I said Ross County would finish in the bottom 6 of the Championship, and I got Doug's abuse for months for that one, and then they not only finished bottom 6, they finished bottom, were relegated. So I would just be careful, right? Absolutely come in and have a go at me if we get to like March and yous are safe and yous are free and clear and stuff like that. Absolutely feel free. If yous are in the playoffs come March, fair enough, 100%. See if, but if you come at me now, you may regret it. I look at Airdrie and I see so many issues and so many holes in that squad that I don't think even John Rankin can fix. And I think that they will struggle this year. So for me, Airdrie will finish in 8th place. I'm going to try and go through these a little bit quicker now. In 7th place, I'm putting Alloa. And again, Alloa just don't look like a coherent team at the moment for me. They seem to be really, really struggling to pick up results, to pick up points. I don't know what's changed from last season to this season, or even like the few seasons before, because they've always been a team that have been competing at the top end, able to pick up results on their day, very, very formidable side. I just don't see that this year. They don't look like that. They've made some very, very weak and sort of almost ineffectual transfers. There seems to have been no progress under Andy Graham in the last few years. Their League Cup performance wasn't great as well. They're kind of it's kind of almost as if they've stagnated a little bit, and now they're going to start taking steps backwards. I don't think they've taken the right steps to push themselves forward here, so I think that they will be struggling this season. For me, Alloa will be in 7th place. In 6th place, and topping the bottom half of the table, I've put Peterhead. Now, Peterhead are very much the Kilmarnock of League One for me. Peterhead are a team that have an immense home record. They've got a fantastic home record. They're ridiculously talented at home. On the road, I think perhaps because of all the travelling, because of all the issues there, they struggle a little bit. But I think at their ground, on their day, they've got a fantastic performance in them. So Peterhead are a team that I think will be not so much a massive threat, but certainly they won't be amongst the relegation battle. I think they'll be perfectly safe come sort of February, March time. I think that they've added a fair bit of depth, a mix of experience and youth to the squad, depth that will be able to compete at this level. I also think that they've got a very young manager. I believe the boy's like 35 or something as well. So there's a good chance he's got a good direction, a bit of a fresh outlook in how they want to play their football and stuff like that. So I think that will be very, very beneficial for them at this level. I think that they will be they'll be a surprise package. In the same way that I said Stirling Albion would be a surprise package for League Two, Peterhead will be a surprise package for League One, I think. And now to the top half, where we look at East Kilbride in 5th place. They've got a very young squad, youngest squad in the league. They are playing at a tough level with such a young squad, and the issue is that they don't have any depth. Now, obviously, they've done very well to sort of, they basically obviously had a load of money pumped into them when they were down in the Lowland League, correctly and rightfully so, promoted as league champions to League Two, and then quite rightly again battling it out right to the end to get promoted from League Two to League One. They are at a level where I think they're doing really, really well. This is where they'll hold, I think. I don't think there is. I think they've hit their ceiling now. Like I say, they pumped a lot of money into the team, but I look at them as the next sort of a Kelty Hearts, Cove Rangers, a team that will kind of sit around about the middle, of this league, of this level, and not be able to get promoted or anything at this point. So I do think that they'll be, a tough team to battle against. Obviously, I went to East Kilbride last season. It was my last of the 42, and again, it was it was a great wee ground. It's a very tough venue to visit based on what I've seen with them in terms of results and stuff like that. I think that they have made some rather talented recruitments. Like I say, a lot of young guys, but the issue is that there is very little depth. And perhaps because they're all so young, they're not going to be able to live up to pushing up the top end of the table. I don't think that's where they are. Maybe if they're here a few years, they could potentially see it. But I think that, like I say, I think that they'll wind up being like a Kelly Hearts, a Cove Rangers. This is their level, and this is kind of where they'll sit for a few years. I don't see them going any further than this. So East Kilbride, just outside the playoffs, 5th place. In 4th place, I'm putting Montrose, middle of the table Montrose, who I think every single year I put somewhere from 4th to 6th. I'm once again putting them 4th. I think they actually look really, really good this year. You know, they've got a good bit of experience in the squad. There's a great age to the squad, which I don't think should hamper them too badly, but I do think the experience that a lot of these players that are bringing will be able to push them up. The issue, much like what was the other team? East Kilbride, sorry, dozy. They have a kind of a weak depth. I don't think there's a great deal of players in there, and I think that with the experience and stuff, it will give them the nudge ahead of East Kilbride, but the lack of depth will hurt them in a title chase, in a playoff chase. I think that they've made some good signings, and they've limited their turnover quite well, but I think that they're in a position where they're not going to really be pushing much higher than where they are. I think that the squad depth they have is just not going to be able to compete. And especially when you consider who I've got as my top 3, I think that that's going to be, yeah. Although there is one that's kind of a surprise in my top 3, I suppose. But anyway, to number 3. And in 3rd place, and a very dramatic jump up the table for Hamilton Accies. Now, I know a lot of people have got Hamilton Accies as a battle with Ross County for 2nd or for 1st. I think that it will be a 3-way title race. I think that this will be, much like I predicted last season and was kind of right, kind of wrong, this will be a 3-way title race, I think. I think that Hamilton Accies will be in it up until maybe about March time, and then they'll drop off a little bit. But I think that they will be the team that finishes in 3rd here. I think that they've got a whole lot of unproven signings. I think that Darian McKinnon, I'm still a little bit unsure about him. I don't know. John Rankin in charge was fantastic, got some great results, and Darian McKinnon was still able to get results with Hamilton Accies, but I don't know. I don't look at him and I think, there's a guy who's definitely going to lead the charge. There's a guy who's going to, grab the team by the scruff of the neck and drag them up the table if he needs to, whatever. And obviously, if not for the points deduction, they would have finished I think it was either just inside or just outside the playoffs. I can't remember. But if they hadn't had the points deductions they had, then they would have been much higher. Thankfully for them, the financial issues are over. That's kind of, well, it seems to be. It's sort of behind them. They're obviously going back to New Douglas Park. Everything's fantastic there. So we will see. I think that there is a world where they do finish 2nd. I don't see them finishing 1st. But there is a world where I think 2nd and 3rd could swap out. I don't see anyone else finishing 1st in the team I do. But I think that Hamilton Accies, I could see them finishing 2nd. They will definitely be up there. 100% they'll be up there. Just depending on, like I say, how badly Ollie Shaw leaving is going to affect them, how much these newer signings that are going to come in is going to affect them, and of course, like I say, whether or not Darian McKinnon is going to be able to deliver is the other one, so I don't know, but we'll see. In 2nd place, and perhaps the biggest shock of the whole thing, East Fife. Now, hear me out. They have lost quite a great deal of players. It seems to have made them better. They seem to have gotten rid of a lot of the players that were kind of, perhaps a bit too eager and a bit too desperate, putting everything on themselves and just focusing on, forgetting about the fact that it's a team sport. This is about a squad. This is about quality. I think that they've not made very many signings, but the signings they have made have been in positions that they need. They've done some very, very strong recruitment in very strong positions, and I think that they signed what's his name from Dunfermline, whose name I can't remember now. I had it written down and I apparently lost it somewhere. I do apologise. I have notes here. I've forgotten it. But yeah, I think that they've made some big signings. That again, a small number of them, but big important signings that are going to help them. They've also had an excellent League Cup. They should have won 3 games out of 4. I thought they were very unlucky not to win the Inverness game on the opening day of the League Cup. They were absolutely fantastic across the 4 games in the League Cup. They did very, very well. And like I say, I think, even though they've not made many signings, they've made impactful signings, which is equally as important, because you could sign 10, 15 players for absolutely nothing, and they're all shite, and they're all dross, and they're all useless. Or you could sign 4 or 5 players that are going to fill gaps, step up, and again, grab the team by the bootstraps and sort of pull them along. So I think that East Fife will be a huge surprise package for this season, and I'm putting them in second place because I think that they will surprise a lot of people this year. Which, of course, leaves my champions, Ross County. Please forgive me, Ross County fans, for last season. I was right. But let's, I think this is water under the bridge here. Look, they have a great squad. They have a great squad. I've always rated Kettlewell as a manager. I felt he was treated unbelievably harshly by Motherwell. I know that Motherwell were desperate to keep him. I know that there was issues, that sort of underlying issues that people don't want to talk about and stuff, but I think that he was treated unbelievably harshly there. There's a good mix of experience and youth in the squad. They were phenomenal in the League Cup. I thought they were absolutely fantastic in the League Cup. They're playing some really, really nice football for this level. They are 100% going back up to the Championship, whether it is through the playoffs or as league champions. I don't see anyone coming close to them as league champions. I don't see anyone else coming close. But I think that even if they don't win the league, they will go up in the playoffs. They will 100% go up in the playoffs. I think they're a really, really good team, and I'll be very, very impressed by Ross County so far, and I think that they will just continue to impress me the more they go up. So hopefully by me saying this, the Ross County fans will forgive me, because I did say, I said they finished 6th last season, I think it was, and I got Doug's abuse for it, and then they finished bottom, and I was like, well, I tried to warn you because you weren't any good, but now you look a lot better. You have recruited well. I think in a similar sort of Dunfermline style of fashion, getting relegated to League One is probably the best thing to have happened to you as a club, which is going to sound really ironic, but it's brought back Kettlewell. It's brought back sort of the investment in terms of signings and stuff like that that's going to be in the squad. I think that you are now in a position where you're going to be really, really strong, and then you're going to push, and we could see you back in the Premiership in a few years, 4, maybe 5 years or something like that. So, so I think Ross County will win the league. But that's my predictions. Like I say, in terms of the playoffs, I'm not going to properly go into them, but I will say that I do think Queen of the South will lose their relegation playoff semi-final and get put down in the League Two, and that is going to be a nail in the coffin for them. It's going to be a very, very bad year, I think, depending on how long they keep hold of Nicky Clark. I look at that board position and every decision that's been made over the last couple of months, and I think, where is the competency? I really don't understand the thought process behind the board, the executives and stuff like that. Maybe someone who's actually involved with the club will know better. I don't know. There must be something there that I'm not seeing. But I look and I think that it looks disastrously run. And I think it looks really, really poor. I think if you were gonna appoint Nicky Clark, you may as well have just kept Peter Murphy at that point, because Murphy would have been better than Clark. But yeah, I think that East Kilbride will be good. I think that Montrose will be a bit of a surprise package, but I suppose not really. They're kind of always in amongst the middle of it all. Like I say, East Fife second place is one I think that will shock a lot of people. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Hopefully this one's not run about. I know it's run longer than the League One because I went on far too long about Cove and Queen of the South. But we shall see how long this is. Oh, I never actually said. I think in terms of teams going up, I do think that Hamilton Accies will go back into the Championship again. I think that they beat East Fife and then they go into the final where they will take on the team that is finishing 9th in the Championship. And again, I think that there's a swap there. I think that the team that's 9th comes down and Hamilton Accies go up. So yes, that is my predictions there. But yes, let me know your thoughts. Feel free to abuse me if you support one of the teams that I've put down the bottom end of the table. Just know that I was right about Ross County. So it may not go well for you. But yes, if you stay tuned, tomorrow will be my Championship predictions.